What's going on? It's the Rap Nerd, and I'm here today to talk about Nas's new album, Magic 2. And it released like a week and a half ago. But as I've said before with a lot of my music reviews, I really have to sit with an album to kind of get what I hear and what I feel about it. I'm not one of these people that can just listen for one weekend or a few days and then come right back to it and kind of give a breakdown. So a little late, but better late than never. But I finally have my thoughts together. Enough talking, let's go ahead and get into the album. So first, the intro. It's so appropriate to have Don Juan open the album. It's kind of like a double entendre with what he's saying, because Don Juan thinks that about himself, but I'm sure Nas also thinks that about himself as well. So it's already a play on words as it is. And if you don't know why Don Juan is being on the intro of an album called Magic, you need to do a little more research. So love how it goes into that. And then next we get into the track Abracadabra, and I really like this beat. I like the southern bounce that it has, and Nas is one of those artists that he sounds good over southern stuff, especially being a New Yorker, because not every New Yorker really can make a beat like this their own. It just kind of sounds awkward because they don't have the right flow, the right cadence or whatever, and it's vice versa. I've heard southern artists that just cannot do well on samples, and I think when you have a voice like this, it works. Nas just floats on the beat as usual, and it's just him having fun. Of course, Hit Boy on the beat making such a great beat, and again, that bounce is what really makes his record what it is. And I love at the end how he laughs like abracadabra niggas. You can hear the fun in his voice and the skill set in his voice, you know, doing something like that over a beat like this with the different rhyme patterns he goes in and out of. And Nas throws around a lot of bars. I mean, even in the first verse, he was like, do-rag energy, I'm gonna wave you niggas as cat. Like, it's full of just these really slick bars that he just kind of goes over, doesn't really give you time to breathe. So always enjoy when Nas gets in that kind of bag, man. The next record we get to is Office Hours, and this by far is my favorite track on this album, honestly. Even though Nas slid all over this beat, 50 for me is what made this track like really jump out even more, because this beat sounds like it's more 50s alley than it is Nas. Like when 50 just jumps in there like in the zone, stick 'em, get 'em, book 'em, got 'em. It's just that vintage 50 over an instrumental that sounds right up his alley. I want a 50 album that sounds like this. Just give me a 10-pack, please. And again, Nas did this thing, no, not trying to shade him here, but like back in the day, I was a G-Unit soldier, so to hear him rhyme over something like this again, oh, it just, so many nostalgic waves hit me. But excellent record. I love how grimy it is, how gritty it is, how much the beat bangs, and just the aggressive nature of what this song is. And honestly, this album, like the first 2/3 of the album to me are extremely aggressive. And I just really like to hear Nas in that space, because he can get like that too. You know, Nas a lot of times gets paired with kind of like the backpacker from some people, but like 50 said, this is queen shit. You know, if ends up between shit, like hard record. Love that song. Literally my favorite, man. Then we get into the next record, Black Magic, and I love how it starts with this Memphis bounce. I had to look the group up because I thought that it was 3-6, but it's the Graveyard Productions, and the song is called Black Magic itself. But I liked hearing Nas rhyme over an instrumental like this, because again, he can float over any beat. He sounds good over Southern-esque production. Having that sample in there and having Hit Boy follow the same kind of pattern and tempo really allows Nas to play with the flow more than ever. You know, he's done this triple stack flow before, but I think here it just sounds so good because of the beat. Just the content he's talking about. My favorite line in there, he was like, evil in the air, let's hit that shit with the sage. Like, that's what my wife does, and I'm very familiar with. So I like the idea of taking what is considered to be black magic, because, you know, black magic is always looked at as like evil and all of this, but he kind of flips the idea of that being the magic of black folks. So really love that record too. And then we get into Motion, which is another record that is dope. Like, it almost feels like something from a motion picture, which I feel like is the reason why he called this record. The sample works so well. Like, when I hear this song, I think about like a speeding car chase, like in some type of action movie like Tenet or Mission Impossible. Like, I can hear it. And he even references his life being a motion picture. We making moves. Like, there's a lot of movement that he's speaking about on his end. And he's also talking about other people who can't find their own motion because they're too caught up in other people and not focusing on themselves, or they just can't find the right motion for him. I like the duality of what he did, and it just goes perfectly with the instrumentation here. So that's another record that I really, really enjoy. Then we get to Bokeem Woodbine, which for those who don't know is an actor, and he mentions Jason's lyric, and he's an actor in that film, and he even has a partial spot on the hook where he's talking about Bokeem reading over a good line, sipping some good wine. Like, that's where the reference comes from. To me, the record just speaks to being grown and making grown-up decisions. That's kind of what I get from it. It's grown man B.I., like Hov said. So the sample on this joint is just dope. Nas again with the pen is just ridiculous. But we all know that, you know what I mean? If you're watching this review, you know Nas is a GOAT, continues to be another one of the GOATs, and will always be a GOAT because he is on a tirade, man. It's just crazy that he's released all these albums over the past 3 years. Then we get to Urbic Magic Johnson, and I just love how like brash and door busting this beat is. Like, it feels like on some King Kong shit. Like, I kick the door in and I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Then you get the horns in the back, so it sounds extremely like just large scale and epic. I really love the instrumentation, and this is like stadium music that I would call it. Like, I can see him performing this in the stadium and shutting the whole shit down. And then we get to what this all really means, and I feel like from this, the next two records are kind of less aggressive in nature, and it's kind of the vintage storytelling of Nas, but I feel like he made this track to kind of give reasoning as to what all of this stuff that he was just talking about prior, and the aggressive nature of it, and why he had to be that way, and what it means to get past it. And I love how smooth the instrumental is. Like I said, it kind of brings things down to a lower level when it comes to the energy, but it allows you to focus and listen to a lot of the gems that he said. I even like the story at the end when he was talking about when he met Pop and had him try Hennessy. I thought that was a nice edge, and because Nas is like a hip-hop encyclopedia with his stories, and this is what we get from this record in specific. And then the irony, as far as like toning down the energy, we move to slow it down, where this is a song that is in both ways of like slowing down to reminisce about your life and learning how to slow it down, because there's a bar in here when he talks about he remembers the first feeling when his manager said that he's a star, and he had to go to the office buildings with a mean mug and a pistol, to now making deals drinking cold sake. Like, it's the evolution of what happens when you do slow it down, and when you learn when and where to slow it down. And I also love the beat here, and I just love how stripped down the hook is. It's not overly complicated. It's slow it down, and then the beat just rides to let you really get into the seat of slowing down. So what can I say? Dope record again. Then we get the pistols on your album covers, and I feel like this is a flex on MCs that don't really live the life that they're talking about. You know, he's talking about trading bars with the gods, making a screw face and all this other stuff, even though that was in a different song, I believe. But I feel like it's the amalgamation of all of these different things, because he's referencing these legends in this song. Like, he's saying, if you're not Cuban links, we're not tied in. And he references a lot of legendary shit on here because of the album cover. And it's kind of like, you can't sit at this table yet because you haven't yet done enough to even be here. So while you think you're, flexing with these pistols on your album cover, that doesn't equate to the legendary status of who we are. And then we end with One Mic, One Gun, which to me also sums up the prior record, with him bridging the gap between legends and the new school. And it's like kind of a respect thing. He dropped this record before the album, and it was amidst the time when 21 Savage, he said that Nas was irrelevant, and then he kind of cleaned it up afterwards. But again, having those two track lists tied together really works. And the last end of the album, the last 4 records, they all like that. It's like idea, summon that idea, summon it up, and it kind of brings it full circle. So ending it on that note is dope. And again, the beat is super ill, having a sample, and I like to say Southern frying it, put the bass on it and have the hi-hats the way it is. And back when this record came out, 21 was in his sample bag, and hell, 21 in general, he is really in his Southern fried sample bag with all of his music. So this definitely fit his style, and of course Nas tap dancing all over it. What can I say? Dope record. So all in all, this is a fantastic album from start to finish. Only 11 records, and with a rapper who is as dense as Nas, I like having these shorter albums. Any MCs who can rap at this God tier level, shorten your albums, bro, so we can really listen again over and over and catch stuff, because there are a lot of gems to be said in this album, you know what I mean? So let me know in the comments, what do you think of Magic 2? In comparison to the first Magic, I would have to say this one is better, or I like it more, because I can definitely say the first Magic I didn't listen to it as much because 2021 was a hell of a year when he released it. I think he released KD2 the same year, so it was just so much music that when this came out, I was like burnt out. I was like, yo, I don't know what to do, Nas, but I definitely feel like this is a stronger album, because from what I remember from that one, the cohesion and the instrumentation wasn't as strong here. So all in all, really love this one more. But if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.